Hey you, come here for a second, I want to show you something. This is what speedrunning Luminous Forest and Sonic Forces looks like. Glitches, extensively held presses of a single button, out of bounds maneuvers and the like. Now, here's what speedrunning Luminous Forest and my favorite Sonic game looks like. Chaining of moves, maintaining of momentum, thoughtful utilizations of level geometry, and overall just better level design. This is gonna be a good one. This is Sonic World DX, a fan project I have been following off and on since childhood. A Fangame I have spent many computer sessions watching other YouTubers cover and play as a wee lad, and a game I have always wanted to try out for myself. When I first laid eyes on this game, it spoke to me. I saw potential in it that I wasn't seeing in the recent official games at the time, and as the years have gone by, that potential has only continued to be more realized by the incredible team behind it. After years of anticipation, I was finally able to get my hands on the game with my first own gaming PC last June. Since then, the game has gradually worked its way up to becoming my favorite Sonic game of all time. Now, does the game have a story that players can get invested in? No. Does it feature its own original banger of a soundtrack? No. And does it boast cutting-edge graphics? Nah. Want to know what the game does entail, though? Well, I've been showing it to you this entire time. Hear me out. Hi, I'm Miguel, and today I'm going to be nerding out about the fan project Sonic World DX, and how it's the best Sonic game of all time. Starting with the game's menu, you're greeted with options, all of which I will do my best to go into detail about. In free play, you'll find, oh, what's this? Single parent team? What could this all mean? Remember all that funky little gimmick that was the main selling point of Sonic Heroes, being able to tackle levels and platforming challenges in teams, practically playing as 3 characters at once? It's back! That's right, in Sonic World DX, you're free to tackle challenges with upwards of 3 characters at once. With the latest release, this isn't something you can do right off the bat. You can play as a single character, of course, as you do in most Sonic games, and you can play as a pair, which I believe is a callback to Sonic Advance 3's duo team-up system, but in team mode you'll have to unlock. Yes sir, this game has unlockables, and a decent amount of them at that, but more on those later. The fact that you can play as any arrangement of multiple characters at once in any stage you please enables just as much customizability as it does replayability, but it doesn't stop there. No, it doesn't. See, in Sonic Heroes, sure you were playing the game in teams of 3, but even then your options were more limited than they are here. In Heroes, each team was composed of 1 member from each character archetype, those being Speed, Fly, and Power. As a result, sure you were playing 4 different teams to choose from in concept, but in execution they fundamentally play the same, as each character was tailored to fulfill their role in the game. Now, this isn't a diss against Sonic Heroes, I can do that any other day of the week. I'm just using it as a reference of sorts to distinguish how it works here in Sonic World DX. In World DX, once you've unlocked the option for custom teams, you're free to slap together any assortment of 3 characters available to you. Want the hedgehogs of the past, present, and future working together on a team? You're free to do that. And it doesn't stop there either, because, and get this, they all come with their own movesets that you can get accustomed to with the character-specific test stages that they have. So depending on your preferred playstyle, you can tailor your selection of team members with the ones that best suit it. Customizability! It's the word of the day. Trust me, you're going to be hearing me saying that a lot in this video. Aside from the wide range of options you have with the playable characters, free play also has a range of objectives you can complete within the featured acts. Each stage has a select number of acts within them, most of which entail their own objective within the stage. One act you might be doing the usual of reaching the goal, the next you could be searching for the Master Emerald shards, and then you're in the middle of the forest using a one-hit obliterating alien to smite every troop in the Guardian Unit of Nations. That sure was a sentence I just said. There's variety, and on top of that, every act also has a set of objectives that are optional challenges that can really change how you play through the act. A level you may have been leisurely jogging through before is now one you're nearly catching carpal tunnel trying to optimize your route as best you can, only to finish at the exact time allotted to you regardless of your efforts, and therefore not meeting the requirement. God damn it, come on! Don't underestimate just how much variety there is between the acts of each stage. You won't just be running through the same stage with a different goal, that's what the stage objectives are for. The acts, on the other hand, switch up not only the level design to best suit the mission for the main act, but they also at times switched up the entire aesthetic of the stage. Let's look at Chemical Plant for instance. The aesthetic and primary inspiration of the main act is its original appearance in Sonic 2, but Act 2 takes on the aesthetic of Sonic Frontiers' cyberspace, and Act 3 has both the aesthetic and primary gimmick of Sonic Mania's Chemical Plant Act 2, and prepare yourself for an understatement, I find this to be so damn cool! Through this method, so much of Sonic's history is paid some sort of homage. Look, Act 4 of Seaside Hill is Resort Island from Sonic R. The last act of Emerald Coast is the first board of Sonic Shuffle. Sonic Shuffle is getting represented. And would you look at that, the final act of Metal Harbor to Sky Fortress from Sonic 4 Episode 2. I respect how the game is not at all afraid to pull from all corners of the Sonic series as far as the games go, even in terms of character movesets. Blaze is able to perform tricks in midair after bouncing off springs and enemies, which increases your score, like in the Sonic Rush games that she originates from, and so in some way, shape, or form, nearly every Sonic game is referenced and paid homage to. This is the kind of fan service I like. I like it so much that I'm tripping over my tongue, apparently, just talking about it, jeez. Now, before I move on to talking about the Marathon mode, I want to go over the game's progression system. Like with the adventure games and Sonic Heroes, completing objectives within an act earns you emblems. Reach a certain milestone of numbers, and these can unlock you tokens. Unlock tokens is what I mean, which can be used to unlock additional characters and gameplay styles such as the aforementioned team mode. I hope that wasn't confusing to follow, I kinda slipped up there. Obtain enough emblems and you'll even be rewarded a Chaos Emerald. Not that this is the only way to achieve them though. Scattered throughout the base game stages are giant rings that when entered bring you to the game's special stages. The ones you're brought to depend on the number of emeralds already in your possession, and not the stage you entered from. My feelings on these special stages are a bit mixed, and I see why they were removed from certain versions of the game. So, from what I've played of them, the goal of these special stages is to nab enough rings by the time you reach the emerald. You only have to do this once per stage, and you get the entire duration of the stage to do it, so no segmented laps and whatnot. My issues with these stages are as followed. 1, your movement is severely limited from how it is in regular stages. 2, the further you get into the stage, something that is supposed to be the goal, the more the entire thing lags against you, which just adds an inadvertent challenge that makes them less fun. 3, the design of the stages is auto-generated and uninspired as a result. And 4, this is my biggest issue, so prepare. They use the worst special stage music in this series for them, being the Act 2 special stage music from Sonic Heroes. Not the one where you get the lives, no, that song bangs, but the one where you actually get the emerald. Yeah, I said it. That's the worst special stage song. I'm not a fan of it. Honestly, I'm kinda glad these aren't the only way to get the emeralds, not only because of the quality of the stages, but because once you enter, succeed or fail, you cannot re-enter through the same special ring unless you restart your entire save file. That's right, these special stages are a one and done deal. And it might be better off that way, these are not the game at its best. The next mode we got up is Marathon mode, which is pretty much exactly as it sounds. You can play a sequence of stages, either in order or randomly, aiming to clear as many stages as possible within the lives you're given. The more stages completed, the higher the ring bonus you get upon finishing. You'll come to understand the value of rings with the next mode I explained, so let me just get to that for now. The Island mode! I adore this mode, just look at how cozy the atmosphere is. This mode kinda acts as a free roam playground that gradually opens up as you obtain emblems. I'm unsure if the emblems you collect outside of the mode count, but regardless of that, you're able to collect emblems within the island mode itself by locating warp rings that take you to exclusive stages you can only access from the island. While the majority of these levels aren't as polished as the free play stages, they're still fun additions to have, some of them even being scrapped levels from previous versions of the game, which explains some of their quality. But hey, they are fun! I wouldn't lie to you on that. I would be lying if I said I spent a lot of time on these stages though, because the island serves a far more important role than just being a stage hub. It has shops! I did my best to make sure I put emphasis on the P there, just to eliminate any chance of confusion. Look, as much as shopping in a Sonic game sounds like the last thing you want to be doing, these shops are very important, okay? You have the one on the main island that's run by Cream's mother Vanilla and Gemerald. Gemerald's in this game too, by the way! Then you have Then you have the other store that can only be accessed once you've opened the Bridge Island portion. Bridge Island? The bridge to the City Island portion of the map. That's what I meant to say. And this one is being run by the shopkeeper from Sonic 06. But, I honestly never really shop here, especially because the stores, both of them, offer the exact same items. It's more out of your way to go to, and it's being run by the shopkeeper of Sonic 06. Don't even act like you care about the shopkeeper from Sonic 06. Anyway, on to the content of the stores themselves. It's a lot. So, the purchasable items are organized by abilities, skills, handicaps, consumables, and extras. Are you ready for me to talk your ear off more about the customizability of this game? So, the offered skills are essentially equipables that you can bring with you into stages, things like the elemental shields and whatnot. Skills are like buffs you can apply to your characters that can enable things like rings being drawn to you, enemies dropping rings upon destruction, and being able to spot red rings and master emerald shards easier. Handicaps are exactly what they sound like, things you can apply to make the game more challenging for yourself, like disabling spin dashing and rolling all together, to dying in a single hit regardless of the amount of rings you might have, to straight up not being able to jump in a platformer. Consumables simply offer lives, red rings, and unlock tokens for those who simply don't want to play the game for whatever reason, and extras are exactly what they sound like. Neat little extras to add to your experience, and like a personal jukebox to play music from your custom music folder, hypersonic skins that you can apply to applicable super forms, cool, and another music player specifically for playing cyberspace music from Sonic Frontiers. Anywhere you like, you know, for those that have questionable music tastes. All this is neat and all, you might be thinking, but why is the island shop so important to the Sonic World experience as a whole? The skills and abilities. It's the skills and abilities. These things can drastically change how you play the game and interact with the challenges, with how some of them add on to the game's base movement. Call me a normie for maining Sonic in this game despite the number of available characters, if you will, but I guarantee you'll have a harder time doing that once you realize just how peak his moveset in this game is. Here in Sonic World DX, Sonic's move pool is entirely acknowledged and realized to its fullest. Serious staples, such as the spin dash and homing attack are here of course, then there's the stomp, lightspeed dash, bounce bracelet, drift, his horizontal spin kick from Sonic Advance 2, spam dash from Sonic Adventure, and boost is all here. Are all here. Whatever is the more correct English way of saying that. The point is, you can use all of them to pull the sickest tricks and skips in stages. Oh, that's a cute platforming challenge you got set up down there. Sure would be a shame if I were to jump, spin, kick, jump again, hit an item, spin, kick again, jump a third time, boost, spin, kick once more, jump once more, homing attack, and stomp in that order over it. Seriously, the movement tech of this game is insane, and while I could go more into detail about it here, it is way more fun and rewarding to take a crack at it for yourself, as you should do with this game as a whole. Seriously, play this game! With that said, I believe I've touched on just about all but one mode, but before I get to that, what I want to do next is dive a little bit deeper into the game's progression system. Like I said earlier, the emblem system makes a return, and it can net you a good few rewards upon collecting them, but if you're thinking that's all the progression has to offer, no. Ramble time, hear me out. Upon completing each objective within an act and nabbing every emblem it has to offer, you unlock every available song for that act in the jukebox. The reason this is neat goes back to my point on the game's sheer amount of customizability. Once you have an act's music in the jukebox, you can play that music anywhere you like aside from the main menu screen. Think of it as the option to change the stage's music in Sonic Generations. It works exactly like that. The game also has an achievement system that not only rewards you with rings, which can be used to buy extras from the shops in the island mode, as I said before, but also with alternative outfits and cosmetics for characters, some of which also reference other Sonic media. Dread from Sonic Prime is here for crying out loud. I'm not even a big Sonic Prime fan, I just appreciate the nod. Some of the achievements can even unlock entire characters, but if you ever catch me gunning for an S rank on Worst K for Egg Robo of all characters, I'm an imposter. That isn't me. Look, TLDR, or TLDW for watch in this case, the progression system in this game is great because for playing the game, you're rewarded with new and or alternative ways to play the game further, either through new characters or new additions to the base game moveset. Okay, here we are with the last mode left to discuss. You've seen it from the start, it's the Chao World. Now, I have good news and bad news about this mode. The good news is that it's likely exactly what you thought it was. That's right, the Chao Garden is back in this Fangame, baby. The bad news is that I have no footage of it. Look, I'd be lying if I said I were a big Chao Garden guy, alright? I get the charm of it and used to dabble in it more as a kid, but nowadays it's just It's just not what I come to Sonic games for, but it's here. So, yeah, you sold on the game yet? Now, you may have noticed that during the island portion of the video, that something was just a little bit off. Yep, that's a Mario alright. This game takes mods, and has an active modding scene. You can seek out mods from the game's official Discord server that I suggest you join. These guys are great at taking critiques and actually adapting the game as a result. You can also find the mods on their official site and on Game Banana for even more insane customizability and personalization of the game. This really is the game that just keeps on giving, man. So with all that said, it's time for me to conclude my thoughts on why I hold this game as the best Sonic game of all time. Ever since Adventure 1, I feel like the Sonic series as a platformer has always struggled with allowing player expression in the games. With Adventure 2, the levels were more cinematic, and while cool in its own right, sure, it really limits how you can go about the challenges, and I feel like that's how it's been for the majority of releases thereafter. My favorite official Sonic game is Sonic Unleashed, and while I loved having my reaction time put to the test and watching Sonic blitz through Sonicified real-world locations, I'm essentially doing all that on rails. Like, Sonic is the one running on ahead and I'm just along for the ride. I have to abide by the level design to get the desired and intended enjoyment out of that game. Here, that isn't the case. That isn't the case. I am fully in charge of the dynamic tricks Sonic and Co. throughout the levels perform. Their speed is largely dependent on my understanding of the game's movement, physics, and level design. Player expression is through the roof in this game. Sure, the levels in their design may be linear, but the way you go about overcoming them sure as hell doesn't need to be. Hardly ever are there instances where your movement is restricted, and that unironically allows for more freedom than even Sonic Frontiers, the open zone game, provides. For those reasons, atop all of those I've listed throughout the video, I hold this game to be the best Sonic game I have yet played, and I will continue to come back to it time and time again. But if you aren't yet sold on the game being the best despite my efforts to elaborate, at Silver you can telekinetically lift Omochao and use him as a projectile against enemies. Peak game. I wanted to add a little end snippet to the end of this video, but nothing really came to mind. I drew a blank, so it's just me talking. If you have not clicked off the video yet, I'm impressed. Most people would have done that 2 minutes ago or something. Good for you. I hope you have a good one. Yeah, I hope you have a good one. You go ahead and do that.